YouTube, we're back with the Airbus A380, getting to the extreme scale details. Got the landing gear painted yesterday, and we're going to put the rest of them together. This is what we're working on right now, the Rolls-Royce Markers. We opted for the Rolls-Royce engines, and whatever the heck these things are, we put those on too. They're only on the left side. I don't know why. I've never seen one on the right side of an engine. It's always on the left side. And the Rolls-Royce logo, we could not cut it small enough to actually make it work, so we actually took off the Rolls and the Royce. Now it's just the double R's. And we did a silver background, and my wife is... Oh, here's an example. We went with this, except it's got the ring around it still, which would help it to make it look like this, but it's not quite the same. And so we just printed them on the silver. It's just, these are the types of details that will make this thing look really good. I mean, really, one of the primary details is this nose looking right, and it looks a lot better now. But I think I'm going to still have to probably put some of the antenna banks up here, because right now it just looks too plain. And obviously the gear door, that's coming soon. Probably not tonight. But we're also going to do this label here on the wing. And we did this. This was ultra frustrating. So we did it off camera because I don't think I can broadcast the words coming out of my mouth. And even at that, still had a lot of trouble getting them on there. See, it's got a blue backdrop too. We did the other side, of course. So we're going to do the F-WWDD as our registration value there. And what else have we done so far? Like I said, my wife and I have been working on this Rolls-Royce Markers, so there's 8 of them. They do the inboard and outboard side of each motor, about centrally located, sandwiched on either side. And then some of the engines have this EA logo on it. I'm not 100% sure what that stands for, which is a little bit embarrassing. I know that Rolls-Royces are R, and we've been looking at all sorts of other details that we might be adding in terms of decals and stuff, and this really helps to bring it alive, is having all these little details. Even though it still says Airliner, which is totally dumb, we can live with it. And there's some other little antennas, and once you get the gear door in there, it's going to really sell it, you know? So let's go put the wheels on. I told you last night that I would give you a shot of that. Everything's dry. Everything's free. It worked exactly to plan. With the exception of how late it gods. And you be careful walking through the doors with this thing. It's not the most sturdy plane in the world. Okay, so I think we're gonna apply these first. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to apply them to the main gear first, because there's only one nose gear, so if we make a mistake. Okay, so these things are only going to go, they're only going to go inside the rim and then drop down. And I need to get probably a Q-tip to push them down. And we're going to see. If they don't stay on, it's not the end of the world, because they look so much better with the silver. But this is just going to get us that extra mile, you know? And that's what I really want. I just want them to look really good. And I trust this is going to do the trick. At the moment it's wanting to kind of fight me getting on there, but it is going. Trying to avoid having a wrinkle at the end. But even if I had a little wrinkle like this, I can live with that. It's no big deal. And you got to remember, there's no tire on here, so of course it's not gonna be a perfect look yet. Okay. And then we'll slap some tires on here after we get these vinyls on. And once I get one of these done, then we'll pause it and I'll come back for the next step, which is going to be that wing F-WWDD label, which incidentally is a real label, a real registration value. I can't remember if it was like one of the early ones or what the deal is exactly. Now you guys are probably thinking, why are you rushing the labels? Well, I'm not really rushing. I knew that they would have a tendency of binding up like that. And if it really bothers me, I'm going to have to do, realistically, I'll probably have to just do another one on top or resize it a little bit. But I kind of just want to get them stuck on there. These vinyl will stretch out a little bit, but really what I need to do is I need to make my inside hole another fraction of a millimeter bigger, and then that would allow it to go around the inside. I bet it probably was correct, and then we added the whatever thickness of paint. Okay, so we'll get this side of trucks done. And remember, we're just doing the visible sides. The invisible sides we're not messing with. See, there we go. Still end up with extra. What the heck? I guess it's not the end of the world. If you do it right, it just kind of goes in there and makes a nice clean seam, which won't really be noticed too much. Well, I did do something the other day that worked nice when I was painting. I always keep these blocks when I get stuff at work. And you can set this up under your planes and just really get them to sit positionally where you need them so they don't wander around while you're working. Or in my case, you gotta try to make the angle for the camera to see. So this cameo has kind of been a double-edged sword, you know. It's like, you know that you can do it just so, but then you still got to go and do it. It's kind of a huge pain in the butt. I mean, it's great to know that if you really, really want it to be right, you can do it. But for a guy like me, that's OCD as it is, I don't need another reason to waste another 3 hours of my life. Now that, I think right now it looks mediocre, but wait till the tire's on there. I think it's going to just really sell it. And if a guy wanted to print these and put them on the backside, you just have to snip it and then put it around. But like the fact that you can see through, I hate that. And there was a couple where the mold failed. So they feel like they're sticking on there good though. We went with flat white because we studied the pictures and flat white seems to be the way that this stuff goes. If you do a gloss white, it would only be representative of a clean wheel. They seem to be flat. I'd actually was talking to my wife about maybe putting holes, like a hole pattern all the way around it, but the cameo just, it's got limitations on how much you can do. That looks really cool. Okay, let's get some tires on. Now I set these out in an order, outboard, outboard, inboard, inboard, just in case there'd be some disparity in tire size. Okay, so I'm just going to walk this around. Oh, awesome. Now I hope I don't need to do it, but if I do, I've got some tire glue. That looks so cool. Let's get you guys a picture. Now look at that compared to the handicap accessible railing that was mounted on there before. And for the record, what did I spend? I guess if you don't include the cameo, which is kind of a, you can't really include that. I spent like $6 on paint, $7 on paint. The rest of it was just labor that I can never get back. Time in my life that I'll never get back. That's priceless. So other than that, it was free. But guys, who am I kidding? I love doing this stuff. It's so dang tedious, and if it didn't cost the family, you know, the time, I wouldn't care. I would think it's a good value, but it does, and it interrupts everything. And getting to bed super late for like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days in a row gets old. I have a new project sitting upstairs. You guys may not, or may not have heard about it yet from me, but it's going to be cool. But like right now, I'm just ready to be done with this one and see it to fruition. And it's looking good. I'm really happy with the way it's turned out. Look how much more real those wheels look than they did when they were new. It looked like some sort of a cartoon character when we got it. And for the records, I think some people are actually into that sort of thing, and I'm just not one of them. So we're going to see how this turns out, and I suspect it's going to turn out really good. Alright guys, we'll pause it because we're just going to be doing the rest of the hubcaps, and then we'll come right back and share with you the rest. Alright guys, look how awesome that looks. They look so much better. I mean, it's like night and day. It's a difference of, you know, several hours of effort for sure, but it makes a big difference. Even though there's not 3 wheels here, when there's that much busyness, you don't notice that, but you notice if they're the right height. And I'm going to do gear door. I've already got my drawings for that. I'm probably going to do the nacelle fins. These are the design for this is the back side here. This is the front side. It's a 2-piece design. Since they're fixed, I may actually go ahead and do 2 pieces for design reasons. This is the color. And then the nose gear. I probably will make a faux nose door to help strengthen the nose, because it's very weak. And this may actually be like the way that it sticks in there. And then, you know, because it's removable, this may actually overlap onto that. And then this is the no step logo, and then of course the number. And I got to do the Airbus and some of these antennas and stuff I might end up doing. But as you can see, this is what the wheel looks like when the oleo is down all the way, which is funny because it's still probably another third again taller is what the factory one would have been. Here, we'll stand on the right side so you can see it's sticking down. So we don't have the scale too far off, and you can also tell that this is white. It's a flat white that comes from this picture here. And there's your little boxes again. And these are Rolls-Royce engines, so we're duplicating that. There's actually an exhaust on each of these engines. I'm not going to add that because that would be just hanging too low. And then out the back of this canoe, there's actually a fuel discharge, so if they have to do a fuel dump while they're in flight. And I was thinking about maybe adding that too. The devil's in the details, people. This plane is going to be sweet looking when I'm done. I just hope it doesn't crash immediately or look like crap in the air. Okay, so this is going under the wing, so we're going to do this next. So this is going to go right here, okay? And so obviously we need to cover that up, that little piece there. And so in doing that, we'll cover this up and we'll actually go ahead and cover the other outboard portion. We're probably just going to leave, well, we're probably going to leave this exposed, but we'll go ahead and cover up the outboard portion just so that we can get the label on there. And that is not in this picture. We got another picture where that shows, and then we're going to get to the Rolls-Royce. Oh, and then there's the other, it says EA, but they've got the fins on those as well. So basically having it's going to come off the leading edge. Of course, it's going to agree with whatever this label is. This one happened to be a white backdrop. So we want to make sure that the F is inboard and that the D is outboard, which is the way it's going to be. So obviously you don't want it this way. You want it to be this way. Okay, so what we're going to do to start that process will be to give it a quick once over with rubbing alcohol, and then we've got this vinyl tape that I pulled out, I don't know, 20 minutes ago or something. And that's going to give us the coverage for this part, and I'll show you how I split it. It's super easy, but you got to do it a certain way or it doesn't work. And this was our proof. We do proofs for every one of these steps, guys. That's why it takes so dang long. So what you're going to do is you're basically going to take and pull this off. If you can let it sit for a few minutes because the vinyl will retract, you can actually stick this to a counter or to a spot. Get it long enough so that it's going to reach what you need to do. So we need just a touch more. Like I said, it retracts quite a bit. Dang it. So we want to go just a little bit further so we don't, whatever we picked up on there that it let go is going to make it weak. Okay, so now you can set that aside. And make sure this is nice and square here, guys, because it's going to make a difference. And then you're just going to sit here. 2 points, right? And then you can control it. Okay, make sure it's stuck to your fingers. And then you can come in here. And remember, evenness matters, but it doesn't matter as much as the fact that it's a straight line. Okay? So there you have it. And that's not perfect either, but it's plenty perfect for what we're going to do, which is essentially cover this little piece of wood. Now let that relax if you have time. In my case, I don't really have time. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and lay it down. And you can cover up that too if you wanted. Okay, so you get the idea. It's pretty straightforward stuff. I mean, it's straightforward, but it's just more a matter of doing it, you know. Then cut this at an angle to match the nacelle. And you'll be golden. Now in our case, we've got this access here to get to the screw for the servo, so we're going to try to leave that open if we can, which we missed it, which is perfect. And then obviously this side's going to be too short to make it all the way down the other end. But I guess just in this case, I don't know, maybe I'll just use up the excess here because it's not going to hurt anything. It is kind of tempting to do the whole length, but I don't care about that specific detail. The only reason I'm doing this right now is for symmetry, or for symmetry rather. And when I say symmetry, I mean from one wing to the other, I want them to agree. I don't really have that letter, that set of letters, which is actually an FAA registration number, if I recall. That doesn't go on this side. It only goes on the left wing, which would be, hold on, I'm on my head. Is it the left wing or the right wing? Crap, now I gotta look. Dang it. I knew I'd get second guessing myself here. This would definitely be the left wing. So the right wing does not have it. And when your plane's upside down, it's very easy to goof that up. So, got to stand on my head and do this real quick in my head. Okay, you know you're not getting enough sleep when you have to flip the plane upside down to tell which side's the left and the right. So obviously this is going to be our left wing. So I was about ready to put it on the wrong side. So I'm glad we had that talk, guys. Good talk. Crisis averted. Now we need to wipe the alcohol onto the correct side. Now we're going to use this transfer paper on this, and if it doesn't work, we'll use masking tape. I've been having problems with this transfer stuff. It doesn't seem to be effective. With some of this vinyl, it doesn't stick to, especially the glossy stuff. It doesn't work great. I mean, it works, but just so. So you guys are probably connecting the dots from the fact that there's like 475 videos on this build, that I'm kind of a scale guy. I like the scale aspect of it. Okay, so remember, F is inboard. Definitely on the left wing. Yep, this is my left hand. If I was sitting down, it'd be over here. But I'd like to avoid that if we can. I think I'm probably just going to have to stick it on there. Just grin and bear it, because that's where it needs to be. So now when I peel this, you see that's supposed to take that up. And it did, sort of. That's the worst case scenario. You don't want it to take it halfway. You want it to only take it if it's going to take the whole thing, you know? So maybe I didn't varnish it enough, or whatever it is my wife was saying the other day. That's probably what it is. So there's one other thing you can do, and that is to basically peel one edge and then get that stuck down. Now normally I would just do this with masking tape, because I'm not worried about the paint here. Obviously there's no paint to worry about. It's just a raw surface. But I've been having problems with this stuff all day. This transfer tape stuff. So if you do this, just do yourself a favor and just get the masking tape out. It's so much easier. And these are big decals anyway, so it's not going to really be of that big of a deal. But now you're kind of halfway committed to it, so you got to kind of stick with it. Otherwise you'll have different problems. Okay. There we go. It's just enough to hold on to it. Of course, you can imagine this would probably be good if you had paint in the background, but I found that it's not enough to prevent the paint from being problematic. But it's also not enough to really hold on to the decals. So like if you had a flat finish on your decal, it might be okay. Just warming up the adhesive. And then we can come in here and take the transfer tape off. Ow! Sometimes if you can't get it with your thumbnail, just come back in with this. Now the good news is it does come off really easy. Try to pull it as tight of a 90-degree angle as you can get. Then you can come back in here and try to pull the gap between those W's that you expected would be there. That looks, we're getting this thing is starting to really look cool. Super happy with it so far. Oh, and then obviously that matches our registration number back here if you didn't already connect the dots on that. Okay, so our next step is to go ahead and get these Rolls-Royce stickers on, which I've already got one in there. And so I wanted to just really quickly review how you figure out the sizing for these. And it's a super simple equation. You take your picture, you measure a known spot. So you can measure here, and then you can write it down, 75 millimeters. And then you measure from here, and it's 135 in the picture. Then you measure the top of that, and that gives you 21.5. So 21.5 over 135 gives us what, like 0.13 or something like that. Then you take 0.13 times 75, gives you 12 millimeters high, which is approximately 1/2 of an inch. Okay. So then you can take and you can turn around then and print your decorations to that size if you're using something like a cameo or plotter. And then you basically can transfer things. So I'm going to show you the steps to make these decals work. This is just regular masking tape, so much easier than that. This is a transfer tape, okay, that I don't think works very good. And my wife painstakingly went through and weeded these out, okay. So I'm going to go at an angle so I can pick up the whole piece all at once and keep it square. Okay, so I didn't quite get it, so I'm going to try the other side first. It's just not wanting to get the edge, so I have to varnish it a little bit more. I hope I'm saying that word right, otherwise somebody's going to... Yes, see? There we go. Okay, so once you have that at an angle, then I can come in here and just very carefully locate that on the other decal, and then that will give us our really cool looking, not quite exactly correct trademark. And it's not quite exactly correct because we don't want to have Rolls-Royce pissed at us. Because why would you want to cast a company in such a negative light by making an awesome logo and putting it on an awesome plane, right? Just kidding, guys. I'm pretty sure they're not coming after me. But if they were, Rolls-Royce, you can send the royalties check in the mail. Alright guys, you see that? Look how awesome that looks. I already wiped these down with alcohol. And it's subtle, but the thing is, like, from a distance, you're going to think it's fully detailed. Now, in real life, of course, it would say Rolls, and then it would say Royce on the bottom. And if in ours, it's just the RR, which is considered a likeness, I suppose, if a jury was looking over this case. They would say it's a likeness because it looks awesome. And we like it a lot. Alright, so I'm going to pause it, and essentially you've got one on the inboard and outboard of each of these motors. So we'll pause it and we'll come back and give you a shot of that. Alright guys, that's going to do it for tonight. Just give you another quick once over. It's amazing that these little details make such a big difference in the realism. And we don't even have gear doors on. We don't have any antennas. And we're going to have that stuff, guys. It's happening. We're going to have the fins here and here. We're going to do antennas, and then one down here, might be one in the back, but even the inside has got the logos. And look how much better that nose is, guys. Just that little bit of detail makes a huge difference in overall look. Oh, and then, don't forget, we even got one over here. Oh, that's going to be cool when we're flying. Alright guys, you know the drill. Check below, look at the description, help support the channel. We really appreciate you like it and subscribe and click the bell for notifications so you get updates every time I post one of these things. We're going to keep this ball going down the field, and there's going to be a touchdown here pretty soon. Should be taking off. Oh, buddy, if the weather cooperates, it could be this weekend. I can only hope. Come back for more. Don't forget to like and subscribe.